Hi, my name is Dr. Reshma Ramachandran, and I'm on the board of directors for the organization Doctors for America. On Thursday, before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, there will be a confirmation hearing for the nomination of FDA Commissioner. The person who was nominated by the Trump administration is named Dr. Marty Makary, and he's an academic surgeon from Johns Hopkins University. Now, the role of FDA commissioner is incredibly important. It touches on the lives of every single patient, every single consumer, and every single doctor, including myself, that practices here in the United States. The FDA regulates about 20 cents of every dollar that we spend and provides us as clinicians assurances that whatever treatments that we prescribe, including drugs, vaccines, or medical devices, have gone through rigorous vetting to ensure that they're truly safe and effective. So when something has a stamp of being FDA approved, we usually think that there's been a gold standard review done of that product to provide assurances that it's actually truly safe and effective for our patients. So we'll be watching the confirmation hearing on Thursday and looking for some key commitments from Dr. Makary. And kind of first and foremost is ensuring the integrity and independence at the FDA. We've seen already seismic changes at the agency, several hundred folks who were fired from the agency without any real sort of cause besides efficiency. These are folks that are integral for ensuring safety of various medical products and actually ensuring that FDA is able to keep up with new technologies such as artificial intelligence. So that loss of capacity has profound effects on the agency's ability to be a good regulator and protect public health and public safety. So we want to hear from Dr. Makary, how is he going to ensure the integrity and independence of the agency in light of these sort of seismic changes? On top of that, we've also seen that advisory committees for essential products and essential treatments, such as the flu vaccine, have been canceled. So what does this mean? That advisory committee meeting being canceled means that independent experts are unable to weigh in publicly to the FDA around what strains of flu need to be considered for the upcoming flu season in order to prepare a vaccine. Now, it's March, and the flu season is usually in the fall, but companies that produce a flu vaccine need about 6 months lead time so that they can produce ample supply of the right flu vaccine for the right strain ahead of flu season. This year, we have one of the worst flu seasons that we've ever seen in about 15 years. So it's incredibly important, especially to protect our most vulnerable patients, that we have a flu vaccine that works. So not having this advisory committee has been very shocking, I think, to all of us at DFA, but also all of us who work on regulatory science and want to make sure that we have a strong FDA. And so not having that meeting is something that we want to hear Dr. Makary's kind of answer to, whether or not he will ensure that there will be true independent expertise through advisory committee meetings for these essential products occurring at the FDA, or if he's going to be kowtowing to HHS and the administration around cancellation of such important meetings. The other thing we're going to be looking out for is whether or not Dr. Makary will protect FDA's regulatory authority in the courts. Already, we've seen various challenges to FDA's regulatory authority, including obviously around mifepristone and rolling back FDA's scientific reasoning around that product for medication abortion. We're seeing challenges in the court around FDA's regulatory authority for lab-developed tests, which are tests that are commonly used and usually directly marketed to patients without adequate vetting. So now FDA's tried to step in with a rule to say that they will regulate these products, and there's a challenge in the courts to prevent them from doing so. So we want to hear, is FDA going to continue to defend its regulatory authority around these important products? I hope some senators will be asking him about that in particular. We're also going to be looking to see whether or not he'll make a commitment to recuse himself from any sort of decision makings that touch upon his conflicts of interest. So his disclosures were released pretty recently, and it showed various financial conflicts of interest with telehealth companies that market unregulated medical products, including weight loss medications. We also saw various disclosures around other sorts of companies, including medical device companies. And so wanting to hear from Dr. Makary whether or not he'll commit to recusing himself from any decisions that touch upon those conflicts, and whether or not he'll also commit to a cooling off period, like other FDA commissioners have in the past, of not entering into financial relationships or employment relationships with companies that FDA has regulated. So we'll see if there's any sort of questions around that also come up. And then we're also hoping to see whether or not Dr. Makary will also kind of talk about what he means by his commitment to transparency. Already, again, at least from HHS, we've seen efforts to shroud all federal public health agencies, including the FDA, in even more secrecy, not allowing for public comment on various regulations or policies that they typically would disclose to the public and allow for feedback. That's not actually happening anymore due to a decision to rescind that public comment period for various types of decisions. And so I wanted to hear from Dr. Makary, how he's actually going to be committing to transparency, given that he's talking about the importance of this. Now, Dr. Makary is a well-published, respected, recognized academic researcher. He's a surgeon. He's done a lot of work around the cost of care. He understands, as a clinician, what it means for patients and also for clinicians to have assurance that FDA approval means a gold standard has been met in terms of safety and efficacy. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to stand by that, how he's going to ensure that FDA continues to uphold strong regulatory standards for approval, so that I know when I prescribe things to my patients, not only are those drugs, vaccines, or medical devices safe, but also that they work for our patients. And there's been a lot of discussion around eroding FDA's regulatory standards, particularly from Big Pharma. And so I want to hear that Dr. Makary is going to be standing by those strong standards for approval and making sure that FDA decision-making and its scientific rationale is also made transparent to the public. So we'll see what happens on Thursday. Please follow Doctors for America to see our thoughts on how the confirmation hearing went, what we're hoping for from a new FDA commissioner, and what this means for you as patients and also for clinicians as a part of our Doctors for America network. I'll see you after Thursday.